As dusk slowly settles over the dense forests of North America, the environment begins to shift in a way that is almost imperceptible. During the day, everything appears calm. Dirt roads, wooden fences, trash bins placed in front of porches. But as night falls, the boundary between humans and nature becomes more fragile than ever. And in that very moment, a familiar visitor quietly emerges, the black bear. In many states such as Florida, Michigan, or even some suburban areas of Canada, the presence of bears is no longer a rare occurrence. At first, the signs are subtle. An overturned trash can, a few claw marks on tree trunks, or faint footprints pressed into damp soil. But over time, these signs begin to form a repeating pattern. Bears are not wandering aimlessly. They return to the same location at the same time, as if they remember everything. What makes the situation more complex is not the size or strength of these animals, but their memory and adaptability. Once a food source is identified, a bear will not easily give it up. Trash bins, livestock feed storage, or even fruit gardens, all can become familiar stops in their nightly routes. The process of control does not begin with traps. It begins with observation. Over consecutive days, residents and wildlife management teams use infrared cameras to monitor activity. They do not just capture images of the bears, but analyze every small detail, their direction of movement, the timing of their appearances, and how they approach the area. This data gradually reveals something important. Bears do not move randomly. They follow familiar paths, avoid unusual changes, and are especially cautious of any sudden unfamiliar objects. That is why traps cannot be set hastily. Unlike conventional cage traps, bear control methods require far greater precision. Steel foothold traps, specially designed, are not placed in obvious locations. They are carefully concealed beneath dry leaves and soft soil, blending completely into the surrounding environment. Every small detail must be calculated: depth, placement, and even wind direction. Scent plays an equally critical role. Bears have an extremely sensitive sense of smell. Even the faintest trace of human scent can cause them to alter their route. Therefore, every action must be carried out with care, from wearing gloves, minimizing artificial odors, to selecting the right type of bait. Food is not placed directly on the trap, but positioned at a calculated distance, forcing the animal to step through the prepared zone. But the most crucial factor is not the trap, it is the timing. If triggered too early, the bear may escape and become even more cautious in future encounters.
Oh yeah? Up all the way up on that fucking thing.
If too late, the opportunity may disappear entirely.
I see you.
That is why many modern systems use remote monitoring mechanisms, allowing operators to observe and make precise decisions at the exact moment. Once the trap is activated, everything proceeds quickly but under control. The bear is handled according to strict procedures to ensure safety for both humans and the animal. There is no chaos, no rushed actions. Every step is carried out with a clear objective, minimizing conflict while maintaining natural balance. But one thing cannot be denied. If the environment remains attractive, if food is still easily accessible, the cycle will continue. Areas that have been previously visited are often improved afterward. Trash bins are reinforced, food sources are secured, and living spaces are adjusted to reduce the chances of attracting bears again. This is not an immediate solution, but a long-term strategy that requires patience and a deep understanding of animal behavior. Because in the end, this is not just a story about setting traps. It is a story about how humans learn to adapt to nature, not through strength, but through observation, calculation, and respect for the rules that existed long before we did.
Recently, the fields have no longer been able to hold on to their once peaceful state. During the day, everything still appears lush and orderly, but after just one night, the entire scene is turned upside down. The soil is torn apart, plants are broken, and overlapping tracks cut across the garden like invisible paths. This is no longer the sign of a lone animal. It is an entire herd of wild boars operating in a coordinated manner. There are not many options left. The farmers are forced to act, not to hunt, but to protect their crops and livelihoods. Traps were set the night before, placed precisely along the familiar routes the boars frequently use. Bait is scattered in segments, naturally guiding their behavior. At first light, the top priority is to return and inspect the entire system. The first cage sits at the edge of the field. Inside is a small group. Immediately, one detail becomes clear. Their coats are not uniform. Some are jet black, others dark brown, and a few even have stripes. This is no coincidence. It suggests that multiple groups have merged, a sign that the herd is expanding and rapidly adapting to the environment. In just a few weeks, this area could become their regular feeding ground. Inside the cage, the boars crowd together, panting, trying to break free. At another trap, the reaction is completely different. Some repeatedly slam into the steel frame, producing sharp, jarring sounds. Others move more slowly, using their snouts to probe each metal bar, patiently searching for even the smallest gap. This is something many people tend to overlook. Not every animal reacts the same way. When confined in a limited space, survival instincts manifest in different forms. In another corner, the smaller trap has also proven effective. Inside is an adult along with several young ones. The tight space prevents them from accelerating or coordinating as they would in the wild. And that is precisely the advantage of the trap. A large system is not always necessary. With the right placement at the right time, even the strongest individuals can be controlled. The results from the previous night make that clear. Effective traps are not a matter of luck, but the result of careful observation, calculation, and precise placement along the herd's movement routes. But it does not stop there. The traps remain in place, and the bait continues to be replenished. The next night will be another test. And then, slam! A trap snapped shut. Inside, a wild boar thrashes violently. This is a sign that the herd's vigilance is beginning to decline. Not long after, at another location, a large individual appears. It moves slowly, far more cautious than the others before it. It stops, observes, steps back, then moves forward again along the bait trail. Every step is calculated, but it only takes a moment. Slam! The second trap closes. Inside is a scene of chaos. Based on its size and behavior, this could be a dominant individual, experienced and responsible for much of the damage in the area. Elsewhere, two individuals are trapped at the same time. They panic, repeatedly crashing into the steel frame. But outside, a few others have sensed something is wrong. They pause, hesitate for a split second, then turn and disappear into the deep forest. The noise gradually fades, leaving the traps still trembling in the air. And that is the reality that must be accepted. No system is perfectly effective. The goal is not to capture them all, but to reduce the herd and limit the damage to the crops. The next morning, everyone returns to check. Some individuals are still inside the cages. One repeatedly leaps upward, using its full weight to try to break through the top, but to no avail. The next steps are carried out quickly. The cages are secured, and all captured boars are transported away from the farming area, preventing any chance of their return in the following nights. Everything is carried out according to proper procedures and regulations. The final stage is handled in a controlled manner, in compliance with relevant guidelines. No prolonging, no spectacle. This is not hunting. This is how farmers protect what they have built. And the question remains, when the damage continues to grow, what other choice do they really have?
In recent times, wild boars have begun appearing more frequently in this area. At night, they move down into the fields, tearing up the soil and destroying crops. More concerning, during the day, some individuals have started entering residential areas, appearing near homes and streets. There have been multiple cases of people encountering aggressive boars and being attacked unexpectedly. The situation quickly spiraled out of control, forcing local authorities to launch a large-scale control operation. Reconnaissance flights using helicopters were carried out continuously to locate where the boars were hiding and track their movement routes. Based on the collected data, the control team quickly planned a large-scale trapping system, placing it exactly at the paths the herd frequently used. Everything was carefully prepared, because even a small mistake could cause the entire herd to disappear and become more cautious. And once the location was confirmed, the trap construction officially began. Heavy steel panels were brought in and assembled into a fully enclosed circular structure at the predetermined location. Each joint was tightly secured and driven deep into the dry ground to ensure maximum stability. The sound of metal clashing echoed clearly through the quiet surroundings. From the outside, it looked like nothing more than a rigid steel frame. But in reality, it was like a massive door waiting for the moment to shut.
That'd be nice.
When you set it up, you make sure your box is on there.
Once the structure was complete, we moved into the final preparation stage. Infrared cameras were installed around the area, mounted high on tree trunks to monitor every path leading to the trap. All actions were carried out quickly while minimizing human traces. Then the bait was set. Bags of corn were opened, releasing a faint sweet scent into the air, scattered into a trail leading deeper
That stays up there.
inside.
It won't let none of the other ones in. That's why we want the bait at the back.
The largest amount of bait was placed at the center of the trap. This became the main attraction, gradually drawing the herd deeper inside without them realizing the boundaries around them. Once everything was in place, the area returned to silence. Only the faint scent of corn lingered in the air. Somewhere in the forest, sensitive noses had already begun to pick up the smell. As night fell, the stillness grew heavier. Then, the first signs of movement appeared on the monitoring screens. The boars had arrived. The lead so stepped forward first, slowly sniffing and assessing the surroundings. Behind her, the rest of the herd followed. Wild boars are naturally cautious, but hunger and the scent of food dulled their instincts. Guided by the lead animal, one by one, they moved deeper inside. There was no hesitation, no suspicion. When the entire herd was fully inside the trap, the decisive moment had arrived. Without warning, the gate was triggered. The sound of metal crashing shattered the silence of the forest. The entire herd fell into panic. They rushed in all directions, slamming into the barriers and colliding with each other in a desperate attempt to escape. The ground was torn apart under the force of their hooves and heavy bodies. The strongest ones tried to break through the structure, but the steel walls held firm. Smaller ones attempted to jump or climb, but the height and design of the trap stopped them every time. Panic spread as they realized there was no way out. Before sunrise, we returned to the trap site. By then, the boars were no longer thrashing violently like during the night. Many were exhausted, breathing heavily after hours of trying to escape. Some stood still, weighed down by fatigue, yet still alert. Even so, their instincts made them react sharply to any movement. Seeing more than 20 boars contained at once, the farmers finally let out a breath of relief. It was the moment they knew the plan had truly worked.
Hey guys, let's go. There you go. What she is a tough. Taylor.
At first, everything appeared as very subtle signs. A few patches of soil were lightly disturbed, faint footprints marked the damp ground, and flattened grass lay as if something had quietly passed through during the night. no one really thought it was a serious issue. But within just a few days, those scattered signs began to form a clearer picture. A herd of wild boars was silently establishing a movement route right along the edge of the cultivated area. Their movement was not random. Every step followed a familiar pattern. From the forest edge, they moved along the tree lines, crossed low-lying ground, and headed straight toward the most accessible food sources. Once one found food, the entire herd would return. And once this habit formed, driving them away became almost ineffective. Instead of reacting hastily, the approach began with observation. Cameras were placed at the most evident points, where the ground had been repeatedly churned, where fences showed signs of pressure and bending, and where trails kept reappearing. After just a few nights, the herd's behavior gradually revealed itself. They appeared at nearly fixed times, moved in tight formation, with larger individuals leading and the younger ones following behind. A specific area was selected as the intervention point. It was not too obvious, yet close enough to the movement route to avoid altering the herd's natural behavior. Here, a mechanical trapping system was set up. The trap frame was firmly secured, and the door was designed to open in only one direction, allowing entry but preventing exit. Every detail had to be precise, because even a small error could cause the entire plan to fail. Bait was placed at the center, but not to attract them immediately. In the early days, the trap door was kept fully open. The herd gradually became familiar with the new space without feeling threatened. They moved in and out freely, slowly developing a sense of safety. This was the most critical stage, when their alertness was naturally lowered. With each passing night, the number of individuals entering the trap area increased noticeably. Larger animals began to move deeper inside, while the smaller ones followed without hesitation. Cameras recorded the entire process, helping determine the moment when the full herd was most likely present. There was no rush. Everything was calculated to achieve maximum effectiveness in a single attempt. And then the moment came. When the entire herd had entered, the triggering mechanism was activated. The trap door dropped instantly, sealing off all exits. There was no loud noise, no prolonged chaos, just a quick, decisive, and precise movement. The entire herd was contained within a controlled space. What sets this method apart is not how many individuals are captured, but how it breaks the recurring cycle. When the entire herd is removed at once, the pressure on the surrounding environment is significantly reduced. There are no more nightly returns, no more silent accumulation of damage over time. After that, the entire handling process is carried out under strict procedures. From ensuring safety and securing the area to transportation, every step is prepared in advance. There is no room for randomness. This is not just an isolated action, but part of a long-term strategy to maintain balance between production activities and the natural environment. Notably, when such a system is implemented correctly, its effectiveness does not end with a single use. Nearby areas begin adopting the same approach, based on observation, behavioral analysis, and controlled intervention. Because ultimately, the issue is not the presence of the herd, but how humans respond. When actions are guided by understanding rather than impulse, everything changes. It is no longer a prolonged confrontation in the dark, but a clear, strategic, and increasingly effective process of control with each implementation.
For many years of participating in wild boar control operations, experienced individuals have always emphasized one crucial point. When wild boars begin appearing on roads, the problem no longer remains within the boundaries of a single farm. An adult wild boar can weigh hundreds of kilograms. If it suddenly runs onto the road at night, it can easily cause serious accidents. In many states such as Texas or Florida, situations like these are not uncommon, and the consequences often arrive faster than human reaction time. Early in the morning, groups of farmers and control teams gathered together. A map of the area was laid out, and key hotspots were quickly identified. Areas of uprooted land, places where livestock frequently appeared, and especially crossing points where wild boars often moved across roads. All were clearly marked. This was not a random reactive operation, but a plan built on observation and real data. In the central area, a large-scale corral trap system was set up. This was the focal point of the entire plan, to capture the entire herd in a single attempt. The setup process was not rushed. Bait was distributed in layers, from the outside moving inward, creating a natural path that guided the herd deeper into the trap zone. The goal was not to lure them in immediately, but to build familiarity. During the first nights, cameras only recorded them standing outside, sniffing and observing. By the second night, a few smaller ones began stepping inside. Then, night after night, the entire herd gradually lowered its guard and moved deeper into the central area. Patience began to pay off. Once the herd had formed a habit of approaching the trap zone, the decisive moment arrived. The gate was triggered shut in an instant. Inside, chaos immediately erupted. The herd crowded together, circling and constantly changing direction within the confined space. Heavy impacts struck the steel frame, producing deep, continuous sounds, not piercing, but heavy enough for anyone nearby to feel the pressure. However, experienced individuals were not drawn into that chaos. They did not focus on the movement of the herd, but instead monitored the structure of the trap, every joint, every load-bearing bar, every point that could be affected. Because this moment was the most critical part. If there were any flaws in the design or installation, the entire plan would collapse within seconds. Inside, the herd continued moving from corner to corner, searching for any possible way out. But the trap held its structure. No weak points were broken, no gaps were opened. All the pressure remained contained within a controlled space. And that was what made the difference, not strength, but the ability to control the situation. In surrounding positions, secondary traps also began to take effect. Any individuals that broke away or moved in other directions were intercepted. The entire team maintained their positions, performing exactly the roles assigned beforehand. There were no sudden changes, no actions outside the plan. Everything operated like a system calculated from the very beginning. After just 1 week, the results became clear. No new tracks appeared near residential areas. No more herds crossed the roads at night. Cameras recorded a noticeable change. The area became quieter, and daily life gradually returned to normal. Roads that once carried potential risks were now safer, at least for the time being. A well-designed plan, executed with patience and precision, will always deliver more sustainable results than any rushed reaction. This is not merely a story about wildlife control, but about how humans reestablish boundaries between residential areas and nature, between safety and chaos. And from such operations, a principle becomes increasingly clear. If the movement of these animals can be controlled, then everything around can be protected.
Strange muffled movement, then a powerful.
Are you a happy bear?
At first, everything seemed like scattered, minor traces. An overturned trash bin, a few deep claw marks carved into tree trunks, large footprints pressed into the damp soil after a night of rain. But within just a few days, the frequency increased noticeably. The bear was no longer just passing through. It began moving deeper into human living areas, repeating the same routes as if it had memorized the entire terrain.
Up bear-proof trash cans and funculus. Speaking of confusion, some bipeds seem to think their question elicits more emotions than "Tell me about your mom." Mother's Day to you.
What made the situation more complex wasn't the bear's size, but the way it learned. Bears don't move randomly. They observe, test, and remember every small detail in their environment. Once they identify a reliable food source, they return again and again, each time becoming less cautious. That's what makes standard deterrent methods almost useless. Instead of deploying large traps right away, the control team started with steel foothold traps. The placement had to be extremely precise, right at the exact point where the bear would step. Each trap was carefully concealed with soil, dry leaves, and natural debris, removing all signs of human interference. Even the slightest misplacement could alert the bear and make it avoid the area instantly. The operation began monitoring. Infrared cameras were installed along the trails the bear frequently used. The collected data revealed a clear pattern. The bear returned at nearly the same time each night,
But here's just a result.
following a fixed path. There was no randomness, and that consistency created an opportunity for control. For several consecutive nights, the area was left untouched. No new scents, no additional disturbances. The bear continued its routine, passing through the same spot without suspicion. Then, at a precisely predicted moment, the trap was triggered. A fast, accurate snap locked onto the bear right along the path it had repeated dozens of times. But the operation didn't end there. Camera footage showed other bears still entering the area, continuing to use the same routes. At that point, the strategy was adjusted. Instead of relying entirely on foothold traps, the team switched to steel cage traps, a more compact system, but highly effective for targeting individual animals. The cage traps were placed along the familiar routes, at points where the bears tended to linger longer. Unlike foothold traps, these relied on attraction. Food was positioned deep inside, forcing the bear to fully enter the enclosure. The trap door was designed to shut only after the entire body had crossed the trigger point.
It actually slams the door. He wants to come in here, which is a very rare. Take it down. There's no holes on either side. Just push it down and put it up. Now keep it all the way forward. I'm gonna have it so touchy.
There was no rush. In the first few days, the traps weren't even fully activated. Food was placed near the entrance, then gradually moved deeper inside. The goal was to make the bear comfortable with the structure, treating it as a natural part of its route. Each return, it stepped in further, stayed longer, and grew less cautious. When the moment was right, the mechanism was set. The bear moved fully inside, focused entirely on the food. As soon as it crossed the trigger point, the door slammed shut. No escape. The entire process was quick, clean, and precise. And most importantly, it affected only a single animal without disturbing the entire area. From behavior tracking to placement decisions and trap selection, the entire process wasn't just technical, it was strategic. By handling each individual separately, the risk of alerting the remaining bears was significantly reduced. It wasn't the fastest approach, but it was the most effective and sustainable. If you want to explore more real-world, precision-based control methods, subscribe to the channel. The next videos will be even more intense and engaging.
Bears rarely appear with loud noises in the middle of the night. They usually arrive silently and are difficult to detect at first. Large footprints imprinted in the moist ground behind the house, shifted trash lids, or long claw marks on storage doors are the first signs, noticeable if observed carefully. Farm owners often see them but choose to ignore, reassuring themselves that the bear may just be passing through. It is possible the bear will not return. Everyone wants to believe it is a one-time, incidental appearance that is not worrisome and does not require immediate reaction, even though the risk remains present. However, bears do not move randomly as many people assume. Once they find an easily accessible food source, they can remember the location with high accuracy. Their keen sense of smell allows them to detect grains, honey, or livestock feed from far distances in the wild. If the initial approach is successful, a return visit is almost certain. At first, it may be a single individual, but over time the frequency of appearances increases. These visits gradually form a repeating, predictable pattern. A notable characteristic of bears is their persistence and quiet strength. They do not need to cause significant damage initially to achieve their goal. A single displaced trash can or a slightly warped wooden door is enough to create a familiar initial access point. When the environment does not provide clear obstacles, this behavior repeats as a habit. Over time, their confidence grows. A previously quiet area gradually becomes a familiar stop in their food-searching route without much interference. Many people underestimate the early stage because the damage seems minor. However, night by night, the area affected gradually expands more noticeably. Bears come closer to human living areas, searching for food near residences. Under motion sensor lights, they move cautiously but without hesitation. As wildlife becomes accustomed to human presence, the risk of direct encounters rises. This makes every situation more unpredictable and poses higher potential risks for both parties. At this point, using traps is no longer considered an extreme measure. It becomes part of a carefully planned and calculated control strategy. The goal is not confrontation, but to break the established pattern of repeated visits. When food is no longer easily accessible, entry becomes more difficult. This forces bears to change their movement routes, reduce visit frequency, and seek other areas more suitable for their survival needs. Setting traps is not done hastily or arbitrarily. Farm operators need to observe the timing of bear appearances, familiar routes, and spots where they linger the longest. Footprints on the ground, claw marks on trees, and images from night surveillance cameras provide important data. Once behaviors are analyzed clearly, trap locations are precisely determined. Metal cages are firmly secured to the ground, with enough space for bears to enter naturally, and bait is placed deep inside for effective attraction. In some cases, specialized traps are also used under strict regulations. The restraint mechanisms are adjusted to ensure effective control while minimizing harm. Devices are regularly checked to ensure safety and allow prompt processing. Safety for humans and animals is always prioritized throughout the entire control process. In recent years, the appearance of black bears around residential areas is no longer a rare occurrence. Security cameras not only capture fleeting silhouettes in the night, but also reveal purposeful movement. Heading straight toward trash bins, food storage areas, or livestock enclosures. This is not a moment of curiosity. It is a sign of behavioral change, as bears begin to treat human areas as an extension of their foraging territory. And once this habit forms, controlling it becomes significantly more difficult. Unlike many other species, bears do not move randomly. They have excellent memory. A readily accessible food source can cause them to return to the exact same location repeatedly for weeks, even months. Large footprints pressed into damp soil, scratched tree trunks, or overturned trash bins are not just traces, they are a behavioral map. And to control effectively, the first step is not setting traps, but accurately reading that map. At a forest edge location, after weeks of monitoring with infrared cameras, a movement pattern began to emerge clearly. A large bear consistently appeared around 1 a.m., moving along the fence behind the farm and stopping at a fixed point where leftover food had once been found. There was no rush, no panic. Every movement was slow but precise, as if it had memorized the route. Instead of reacting immediately, the control team chose to extend the observation phase. They did not set traps right away. Instead, they established a stable bait station. Using strong-smelling attractants such as mixed grains, pastries, and sugar-based products. The scent spread through the air, but not abruptly enough to trigger suspicion. Over the course of 2 weeks, this location remained unchanged. The goal was not rapid attraction, but familiarity. Once the appearance frequency became consistent, the next step began. A steel tube trap system was installed flush with the ground, covered with soil and dry leaves to blend into the surrounding environment. The trap opening was designed just large enough for the bear to insert its paw, with bait placed deep inside to force further interaction. No element in the structure was allowed to create a sense of abnormality. When the bear approached and inserted its paw deeper to reach the bait, the internal mechanism was triggered. There was no loud noise, no chaos, just a controlled movement sufficient to hold the front paw in place, preventing immediate withdrawal. The system was designed to remain stable, causing no serious harm, but sufficient to control the situation. Immediately afterward, the response team arrived. The entire subsequent process was carried out according to standard procedures. Sedation under expert supervision, health assessment, and transport to an appropriate location for further handling in compliance with regulations. There was no haste, no confrontation. Everything unfolded as part of a pre-planned process. What is noteworthy is not the trap itself, but how it is used. If placed in the wrong location at the wrong time or without proper observation, the entire system becomes meaningless. Bears are not easily deceived. A single sign of abnormality can cause them to change routes and disappear for weeks. In the context of increasing human-wildlife conflict, control methods based on behavioral understanding are becoming a more sustainable approach. It is not about elimination, but management. Not reaction, but proactivity. And sometimes success does not come from acting the fastest, but from acting at the right moment. If you find this content useful, Leave a comment and don't forget to follow for more scientifically grounded and effective wildlife control strategies. For many years, black bears have been seen as symbols of the wild mountain forests, powerful, cautious, and leaving almost no trace behind. But as the boundary between nature and human settlements continues to shrink, everything begins to change. Encounters no longer happen deep in the forest. Instead, they occur right behind homes, near livestock enclosures, and even beside household garbage bins. And once a bear discovers an easy food source, it will return, not randomly, but following a route that is astonishingly precise. It always begins with very small signs. An overturned trash can, a few claw marks on a tree trunk, or large footprints pressed deep into damp soil. To the untrained eye, these are just scattered details. But to wildlife control specialists, they form a complete map. Every trace reveals how the bear moves when it appears, and most importantly, that it has begun to see this area as safe enough to return repeatedly. Unlike many other animals, bears do not act hastily. They may return to the same location over several consecutive nights, simply to observe. If no danger is detected, they move closer. If food remains available, they remember. And once a habit is formed, driving them away becomes almost ineffective. This is exactly when control measures must be implemented, not as a reaction, but as a step ahead. The strategy does not begin with immediately setting traps. Instead, the entire area is carefully surveyed. Main movement routes are identified based on tracks, claw marks, and approach directions. Infrared cameras are installed at multiple points to accurately record the bear's timing and behavior. Some bears appear so consistently that their movements can almost be predicted step by step. And it is this data that determines where traps are placed. Not where it is convenient, but where the bear is certain to pass. Once the location is determined, the conditioning phase begins. A portion of food is placed at the trap site, but the mechanism is not yet activated. The goal is not to capture immediately, but to make the bear feel completely safe. Over several consecutive days, it returns, feeds, and leaves without encountering any danger. This repetition creates a habit, an almost automatic response. And only then does the trap truly become effective. Contrary to common assumptions, bear trap systems are designed for control, not harm. Sturdy metal structures are firmly anchored to the ground, strong enough to contain an adult bear while still minimizing excessive panic. A one-way mechanism allows the bear to enter easily, but prevents it from exiting. And when the door closes, everything happens quickly and efficiently, reducing the risk of the animal injuring itself. After the trap is triggered, the next steps are carried out by specialists. The bear is sedated under strictly controlled conditions, then examined for health and transported to a suitable location, typically deep forest areas far from human settlements. The goal is not removal, but restoration of balance, returning the animal to where it belongs while minimizing the risk of future conflict. In many cases, it is human behavior, often unintentional, that lies at the root of the problem. Leftover food, unsecured trash, or feeding wildlife all contribute to altering the bear's habits. When natural food sources are replaced by easier alternatives, their behavior changes accordingly. And when that happens, control is no longer optional. It becomes necessary. Managing bears is not a single action, but an entire system. And when done correctly, the result is not just the prevention of damage. It is the preservation of a natural balance, where nature continues to operate by its own rules, and humans learn to adapt rather than disrupt it.